Hey guys, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to my walkthrough for the Destiny Strike Winter's Run on the planet Venus. You're going to first encounter the strike about level 14. You can enter it a couple levels early if you want, but this video is just going to give you an idea of what you can expect from the strike enemy types, what types of weapons that I recommend that you should bring, and more. Now, right off the bat, let's cover some of those things. You're going to be going up against Vex and Fallen for different portions of it. You're going to be going up against some Fallen at first, then some Vex, and then it's going to revert back to being Fallen for the majority of, for the last boss, basically. So I recommend bringing some Arc and Void weapons. The Void weapons aren't as good. They are really good for taking out the Minotaurs at the first encounter, but for the second encounter where there's a lot of adds, there's not many adds that have shields, so the arc damage will help you when a captain does spawn, a Fallen captain. As for the weapons that I recommend, something that you're precise with really helps for the first half of the dungeon. That's just because if you can land a critical hit, precision strike, on a Vex, it makes the fight a whole lot easier. On top of that, I recommend bringing something that can do a lot of damage in small bursts. I personally like fusion rifles, sniper rifles, and hand cannons for the majority of this. You're going to see me using a hand cannon as my primary. Keep in mind, my character was, I think, level 17 or 18 when I first did this strike after going through the story and some Crucible and whatnot. But I no longer use this hand cannon, unfortunately. It's a great weapon. I feel like they might nerf it, but hey, use it for now because it's great against the Vex. If you can get one that has a decent stability and a strong amount of impact, trust me, you won't want to go back to some of the other weapons you can use in PvE. The sniper rifle is also good for one specific part that I'm going to talk about later. As you can see, we're at the Vex part. They're shielding themselves, so my precision's not so great at this point. But for the most part, you haven't really seen anything new watching this part of the video, just because this is a part of the story that you've probably already encountered. Maybe you decided to do this before you got to this point in the story, but yeah, regardless. So you may see me stopping occasionally, doing things occasionally. I am on, what's the word I'm looking for? I am speaking to somebody in my fire team, one other person. The audio may be a little delayed because of the recording with the Game Capture HD. As you can see, we're moving further into the sort of Vex territory. We have Hydras and we have Goblins. Lots of Goblins, Hobgoblins. This is pretty much why I recommend. This was only my second or third time encountering a Hydra. I mean, I encountered the other boss, Sekrion, from my last video. I encountered him before then, but I'm still kind of cocky against these Hydras. I just like to take a fusion rifle and just go to town. And I forgot their bodies could explode. That is a helpful hint. Do not run up to the body of a Hydra directly or immediately after killing it. You will die. You learn some fun things when you first start leveling up in this game. But anyway, I'm going to go silent for a little bit. You're going to see some of the trash here. You're going to see some Fallen Captains. You're going to see some Vex. I'll be back when we get to the first major wave, so enjoy the audio, and I'll see you guys in a few minutes.
If the Fallen are already fighting off Vex, they'll be ready for us. The Archon Priest will be well protected. need to get through. I'll check it out. It's locked down tight. Just give me some time.
Alright guys, and I'm back for a little bit more commentary. This is really the first encounter of the strike. And by the way, if you have a... what are they called? If you have a bounty for Vex Ultras, this is where you're going to get it done. Majors or Ultras, whatever. If you have a bounty for Vex Majors or Ultras, this is probably the place where you're going to do it. I'm pretty sure I complete it by the end of this video right here, and I think I was only at 2 or 3. Now, this part of the encounter is basically going to be 3 waves of Vex. The first wave is going to be Goblins and Minotaurs. Now, the Minotaurs are, they are Majors, so I do highly recommend bringing some Void Weaponry, like I said at the beginning of the video. It absolutely makes this first wave a lot easier. But the first wave is actually not so bad. You have the Minotaurs and you have the Goblins, but, I mean, it just would just make it go faster. You can always do something to make it go faster. Now, this part... wave number 2, where we actually, I'm going to leave this in this video, but we actually wipe here. Because we didn't know what to expect. This is everyone's, at least I know it was me and my friends, first time inside of the strike. We had no idea what to expect. We had no idea how many hobgoblins there were going to be, where they were going to come from, and it just totally caught us off guard. So I think I'm kind of dead weight a little bit in this one. I know when I went back and I did this in the level 20 strike playlist, I brought a sniper rifle with me, and this part's just way easier with a sniper rifle. If you have a good sniper rifle, you can demolish the hobgoblins here. You can usually pop them once in the chest, let them go into their little invulnerability, and then pop them again in the chest. And usually after those 2 shots, they'll be dead. Maybe even at this lower level point, you might even be able to one-shot them, but since they are Majors, I wouldn't, I just wouldn't assume that you would be able to one-shot them. I'm assuming you still 2, maybe even at this level, maybe 3-shot them, depending on what level you actually decided to come into the strike. Like, if you came in at 12, you might not have as easy of a time doing that. But the sniper rifle, being able to keep your distance and kind of strafe out of their attacks can work really, really well. Just because there are so many of them, and a single shot from a hobgoblin can absolutely demolish you. Another option is to shoot them in the head and then sort of hide in a corner and let them come to you. They're extremely easy to handle once you shoot their head off and let them run up onto the ramp. At least in my opinion, I do prefer, I'm just a personal preference, I prefer playing from the back. I'm not the kind of person who likes going in and just going Rambo, and it's not really the kind of thing you can do in a situation like this. So, after you deal with the Minotaurs, after you deal with the Hobgoblins, the last wave is going to be several Hydras. You'll see that when we get past this, when we get past these 2 waves in a minute here. And, yeah, I see I just got the bounty for the Vex Majors and Ultras. I keep forgetting the word Majors. I keep thinking it's Ultras and Majors, which alphabetically doesn't even make sense. So, yeah, that's what you're going to have to do. The last wave is just a couple of Hydras and a bunch of Harpies. Once you get past the second wave, the third wave can be difficult, but as long as your team focuses on a single Hydra and doesn't each try to, like, 2 person on one person on the other, you can take out the Hydras really, really quick. They don't really do so well on this terrain. Again, if you have the high ground, they can sometimes go behind the rocks and block their own line of sight for shooting, and you can still hit them in the head. It may not be the weak spot, but it can be really good for getting them down in HP. Also, if you have any supers, I highly recommend using them. I have the Blade Dancer super right now, and I'm not going to lie, I was kind of afraid to use it here. I had tried it a little bit earlier, and I kind of just got Blade Dancer, so I don't really have all the cool abilities to make it, more effective. I don't have the increased toughness, I don't have the increased move speed, I don't have the backstab from Blink Strike or anything. So, you can play this a bunch of different ways. These are just a few ways that I recommend that you can sort of approach this. I have my teammate mostly handling them on the left side, while I keep the ones at the ramp shooting at me. That way, that's 3 less Hobgoblins. The other 2 have, I think, 4, so they have 2 between each of them. And on top of that, at least with some precision strikes, I am able to take out these Hobgoblins in a relatively, in a well-timed fashion. It just takes a little bit longer. The whole time I was doing this, I was saying to my friend on our fire team, like, if I had my sniper rifle, we would have done this already. And I also see some heavy ammo that I really, really want. But I also see that we still got 1 left. Definitely keeping up the ammo. See, if I had known a little bit more about the colors of the shields. I didn't know that there was a legitimate rule about the shields. I figured enemy shields could be a little bit more randomly generated. So I actually have a void damage thing. I haven't even used it at all. Nice heavy machine gun too. So these are the Hydras. I'm going to actually cut out until we get to the last boss at this point. You're going to see some more Vex. You're going to see some more Fallen as we progress through the rest of this dungeon. I will come back for more commentary on the last boss. So again, enjoy watching more of this walkthrough. I will see you guys on the last boss.
Picking up fallen comms. They're restoring the Archon Priest. We'd better move. Think they'd mind if we take their pikes? A cell from the Prison of Elders. The Archon Priest is still inside. sure this is a good idea?
Alright guys, I am back for some commentary on the final boss of this strike. His name is Axor the Archon Priest. You're going to have to clear out some Fallen in this area, and at this point you're not going to encounter any more Vex. You probably stopped encountering Vex a little while ago, and it's probably been mostly Fallen. So I do recommend any void damage that you might have had specifically for shields, you can put that away. If you are going to have anything for shields, something with arc damage definitely works well. I believe there's a few captains, but for the most part you're going to be dealing with Shanks, Vandals, and a Servitor that will spawn every so often. Occasionally, as the fight goes on, you will start dealing with Stealth Vandals, and you may also deal with some other enemies. There's quite a few. Pretty much the entire spectrum of fallen enemies you can run into at some point. I know there's definitely captains here, so bring something that does arc damage. There's also this Servitor. Now, this Servitor is going to spawn a lot. I like fusion rifles for taking them out. Just personal preference right there. However you're comfortable taking out a high health Servitor, definitely make it a priority to take them out as they spawn, because they are going to spawn a lot. You're going to have to kill maybe 7 or 8 of these things, and it can make the fight take a pretty long time. Now, Axor himself is basically, even though he's an Archon Priest, he's basically a giant captain. He doesn't have the shield necessarily to go with it, but his biggest thing is that he's got some strong abilities. He's got some standard things. He's got a giant AoE melee ability that if it hits you, you're probably going to die. He's got the standard Captain Cannon, but one thing he can do is he can actually cover a lot of ground really, really fast. He can actually blink forward. Now, I've never been hit by a melee attack by him after that. I don't think he melees while he's blinking, so it's not similar to a Blade Dancer's Blink Strike. He kind of just teleports forward and helps him get around the map in case you try to create too much distance between yourself and him. He doesn't really let you do that if you're his target and you're trying to run too far away. Also, he can go anywhere on this map, so don't think you can hide in one spot and he might shoot. There are some spots where he might stop moving and he might just try and shoot you, and you can kind of shoot at his foot. I've seen it happen a few times while doing this now in the level 20 playlist. I don't know if people are intentionally dragging him to a specific area in order to just shoot him in the foot, but I mean, you still got to deal with ads, and as soon as ads spawn, if you have to move, then the boss will move. So I don't even recommend doing that. I recommend just kind of trying to take on the boss the normal way. I don't know how many deaths we're going to have here, but we got pretty overwhelmed. We didn't expect as many Fallen as eventually spawn in this fight. And if you've never done this one before, it can overwhelm you similar to the way that Fogoth did on the moon, where the ads just come in such massive droves. But unlike on Fogoth, these are mostly weak enemies you're going to have to be dealing with. So if you have any way of comfortably dealing with lots of Shanks and stealth Vandals and just Vandals in general, then I highly recommend bringing any of your preferred weapons. As a Blade Dancer, as a hunter, really, I like going Blade Dancer. I feel like I can get a lot more kills out of my super than with my Golden Gun. My Golden Gun I would use maybe on the boss, but most of these enemies die in a single shot anyway. Most of the time I just don't end up feeling like shooting them. And besides, it helps generate extra orbs of light. That might be the only real big benefit, is generating some extra orbs of light, especially if you don't have the Encore ability yet for your Blade Dancer. As for Hunters and Titans, whatever you want to do helps. Protector Titans are actually very useful here. The only problem is he can just blink into your shield and kind of just the shield isn't as effective against him as it is against dealing with the ads. It's good at handling all of the ads that are going to spawn at some point. And really, there isn't too much to this fight. It's just something that you're gonna have to get used to the terrain. The ads can pretty much spawn from any corner of the map. They can spawn at the far end. They can spawn in this little cave he's in. They can spawn in the cave above where he's in right now. And yeah, they can spawn up in that cave. They come from all these little nooks and crannies in the arena, and you're just gonna have to be able to deal with it. Don't think you're just safe sitting in one spot and just ignoring him and just ignoring the ads. It's not gonna work out that way. So, anyway, guys, I'm going to let the rest of this video play out. There isn't really much more to say. You'll just kind of see how his Blink Strikes and everything and his abilities work. You just saw him use the Blink Strike right there. And you'll see it pretty much for the rest of this video. So, I'm going to shut my mouth and let you enjoy watching the end of this walkthrough. So, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully, you're enjoying my Destiny Strike videos. I will post the rest of them sometime soon. There's some interesting bosses that I really want to share. So, hopefully, you're enjoying this video. And until next time, take care.
It was better off in the Prison of Elders. I'll contact the Magi. Let them know the Archon Priest is dead.
One more fallen Archon gone to dust. Good.